In this video, I'm going to give you a July 2018 UFO disclosure update. On July 15th, 2018, the former head of the UFO program in the Pentagon, Luis Elizondo, was on the Coast to Coast AM program being interviewed by George Knapp. He elaborated on many details that he's brought up in the past, but he also brought new information to the table. I'm going to talk about some of those details, and I'm going to add my own commentary as well. Luis Elizondo revealed that there are many more videos of UFO gun camera footage than what has already been released, and he also stated that they are just as good as the 3 UFO videos that have been released, and in some instances, they are even more compelling. Elizondo stated that many within the organization studying UFOs within the Department of Defense came to the conclusion that the reason some UFOs are tic-tac, triangular, or disc-shaped is because of the different functions that they fulfill. And what I find so interesting about this is it suggests that Luis Elizondo and his colleagues within that program saw gun camera footage not just of tic-tac shaped UFOs, but of UFOs of all different shapes. Elizondo has stated that he is cautiously optimistic that he will have forthcoming news regarding the metamaterials that are in the possession of To the Stars Academy. What I derived from what he said is that they are continually doing tests on these materials to ensure they have the requisite data to prove that the materials simply do not originate from this planet, nor do they originate from a human source. Right now, the most interesting aspect of the metamaterials, to me, are the implications. From my quick analysis, there is only one of 2 ways that human beings could get access to materials that originate from another intelligence that's not of human origin. One of those ways would be to retrieve a UFO that has crashed, and therefore you would have all that material that is the embodiment of the UFO. Another way one could come into possession of a metamaterial is if the UFO itself dropped materials off, and you hear all those stories of UFOs coming into Earth's atmosphere, coming down close to the ground, and dropping off metal slag, as if they are doing so intentionally so that human beings will get access to those materials, be able to study those materials, and consequently be able to progress science. Elizondo elaborates and even brings new information to the table regarding the Gimbel UFO video footage. He emphasizes that one of the pilots in that video conveys that there's a whole fleet of those unidentified flying objects.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
And he can't say why that is so significant, but he hopes that that information comes out in the future. He also underscores that the Gimbel video is not coming out of a vacuum, but actually has a backstory of literally weeks and weeks and weeks. And he hopes that information also comes out. He says that if and when that information comes out, people are going to have an epiphany. And they're going to view that Gimbel video entirely different than they do now. They're going to look at that video and say, hey, that's not just some blurry object floating through the sky. This is really something. Elizondo reports that he's absolutely certain that additional details on the fidelity of the UFO gun camera videos will be released in the next few months, and at the very latest within the next year. And he says that these additional details are going to put an end to the chatter regarding IR glare and flare that many of the debunkers are attributing to the UFO gun camera videos. What's hilarious is that the debunkers, or as I like to refer to them, the internet experts, have literally placed their bets on their assessment of the data over the actual Navy pilots who witnessed the objects through their radar system and visually, as well as all the military experts within the Pentagon who had access to all the sensor data, who had access to the entirety of the video and not just 30 or 40 seconds of it like we do. Yet these internet experts literally believe that their assessment is better than the assessment of the pilots, of the military experts, and to all personnel who had access to all of the data. I don't know what universe these internet experts live on, but I can tell you one thing. When that additional data comes out on the fidelity of those videos, those internet experts are going to lose a lot of self-esteem. Quite frankly, we know that Congress is being briefed on the UAP phenomenon because of some of the statements that Tom DeLonge has made, David Fravor has made, as well as other people. But interestingly enough, Luis Elizondo was asked about Congress, and I'm going to share 2 quotes from him that I find very revealing, and you kind of have to read between the lines. After I share these quotes with you, I will give you my commentary on them. Elizondo has been quoted saying, "If members of Congress are looking at this, I hope that we would give them some degree of privacy so that they can look at this information without having any type of political pressure or something like that that's coming from maybe some of their constituents, because a lot of people are very emotional about this topic." First of all, Elizondo is only saying if out of respect and privacy for the Congress. It's clear to me that he himself has testified before Congress, and I'll cover why I believe that in a bit. But it's clear to me that To the Stars Academy and whatever other governmental structure is supporting their efforts wants Congress to examine the data on UFOs privately before there is any public discussion regarding their plans on how to deal with the UFO phenomenon. Elizondo has been quoted saying, "But I would hope that those folks in Congress, if they are being briefed on this, that they get a chance to look at all the data, not just bits and pieces of the data, because there is a lot, and it's not just with the Department of Defense. There's other agencies and organizations that have information as well that I've been privy to, and let them come to the conclusion themselves." Perhaps this suggests that not only is Congress getting briefed on the UFO phenomenon, but they are being shown highly sensitive data that would encompass a home run confirmation on the existence of the phenomenon. If this is the case, then the UFO phenomenon will become part of the mainstream consciousness of humanity very soon. Now, as to why I am absolutely convinced that Luis Elizondo has testified before a congressional committee. While being interviewed, George Knapp asked Elizondo directly, "Can you say if you have been asked to testify before a congressional committee and given any information on the UAP subject?" Elizondo responded that this is a question you'd probably want to ask Congress. He explained that out of respect for Congress on whether they have or have not asked him to testify, he wouldn't want to have to say something that puts somebody else in a position that now they have to answer to that. But beyond that, if Commander David Fravor has testified before Congress, then Luis Elizondo almost certainly has. I mean, he was the head of the UFO program in the Pentagon for a decade. Someone called into the show and asked Elizondo if he believes that UFOs are of extraterrestrial origin. He responded by saying that he has no right to answer any questions within that area because people will glom on to his opinion and they will jump to the conclusion that he has ultimately concluded, and that the data needs to speak for itself, and that it's just simply premature to ask that question, and we actually need to collect more data first before we even delve into that question. I interpret that what Elizondo is communicating from that statement is that he has already seen exquisite and profound data on the UAP phenomenon that the average citizen hasn't yet, and he simply does not want to put his opinion into the conversation until your average citizen has seen data similar to what Elizondo has seen. When that day comes, I anticipate that Elizondo will not hesitate to offer his opinion on exactly what the origin of the UAP phenomena is. The following is a beautiful quote by Luis Elizondo regarding the biggest question of our time. What is the origin of UAP? I think it would be great if we could get some folks in Congress. Maybe one of the things we could do is establish an academic body to ask some of those questions. Have folks from NASA and Bigelow Aerospace and some of the really good folks in Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and Boeing and all the folks in a room and start asking that question. What does this mean? What does it mean for us as a nation? What does it mean for us as a society? As UFO Jesus, I believe that those sentiments that were just shared by Luis Elizondo will manifest in our world very soon. The paradigm shift we've all been waiting for is coming. Don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you could check out my merch shop. Link is in the description. Or you could even become a patron. Or you could simply slap a like on this bad boy, and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.